Hello, friends. Welcome back to Value Vintage Cards. This one I'm going to walk through and kind of show you my train of thought and why I think collecting is so gosh darn fun. Um, so John Mangini was showing off some very cool New York Yankees um, postcards. They were issued, I believe, at Yankee Stadium. I think that's confirmed actually. Possibly 1 year, possibly a range of years, but it's definitely an early 60s item. And a few of them were ones that I recognize from my collection. So I just thought I'd share what I had, and then I'm going to just walk you through where my brain goes and why I think this is so fun and why I collect the way I do. Um, but one of them that he showed that I think is, these images are just so epic. That's such a classic, awesome image that you just don't get if you don't branch out into some of these unique little items. And the back of theirs are phenomenal. Stadium souvenir shops, Yankee Stadium, Bronx, New York, full on postcard. I think it's cool to get the ones where they've been sent. Those are neat. Um, there's the mantle. Um, I have the price on some of these. I did not pay what it says, which is also interesting. The Maris is a really cool image as well. They're all postcard back, but pretty darn neat. Um, I think who else he showed. I don't know if he showed DiMaggio or not. I know he mentioned DiMaggio. There's the Joe D. Cool image. Um, what's interesting is they did go with current and they went with former players. DiMaggio would have been retired at that point. Um, got the Lou Gehrig. Another neat image. Um, and then they went some players from other teams. So, Koufax was there. It was kind of like other teams' amazing stars. I think Willie Mays, Musial. There's a few players there from other teams. Um, there's the Ted back. Took a second. And then this one is really neat. So it's got Gehrig, Cronin, Bill Dickey, and Joe DiMaggio on it, which is neat because they actually on the back they don't just say like group photo; they list everybody out. Um, it's super neat. So when I picked those up, I think all six were like $110 or something. So they're not big bucks expensive. The prices that were on there, I didn't even pay what was on there, and a couple of them didn't have prices. So pretty solid deal. But that got me thinking. So Yankee Stadium did that. Wrigley Field also did a issue 1961, and theirs are interesting too because they also chose um, historic players. So it's a Wrigley Field issue. Um, Postcard backs, less less awesome because it doesn't say the field or anything about the year or anything else issued. But what I like is the name being on the front, they use their full name. So Aloysius Harry Simmons. Um, and then the other two that I got, there's another like oddball thing. I had to do a little bit of research on this. Um, so I picked up a home run Baker, which again, I feel like it makes them look like they're getting a Dateline special with doing all three names, but this one's blank back. And that kind of weirded me out at first. 'Cause I'm like, I thought they were postcard issues, but they're really more so labeled exhibits. So, um, just like exhibits, they can have different backs to them. So some of these are postcard backs, and some are blank backs. So Eddie Collins, another cool image, and very low cost items. I think it's interesting that it's post playing days, so we kind of like penalize it, but it's something you don't see every day. And if it's from the early 60s, it's still 60 some odd years old. Like that's still cool. That's still, we're debating whether or not we count the 80s as vintage at this point. But 1960s Eddie Collins right now, $5, who cares? It's really interesting. So I do wonder if that little niche of the hobby might not catch some attention. It's not quite, Retorado Venezuelan cards, but will people eventually look at that and say, like, it's still a home run Baker that's 60 some years old? That's pretty neat. Why are we selling that for $5? Why isn't it 50 or 100? I don't know. Maybe that's me speculating and being silly, but I think they're way neater than the price. Let's go with that. Another item that I think you can get that's way neater than the price is always stuff like this. So my brain kind of, I'm letting you inside my brain of how I collect and how I think and what I find interesting and why, which is a scary place to have to visit probably. Um, but these cereal box cutouts, when you get like a Wheaties box like this and you have it cut, they can be cut in all different kinds of crazy ways, and sometimes the borders can look a little bit nicer, but that's maybe about a dozen bucks. Uh, it feels like you're having breakfast with Ducky Medwick, so I thought that was pretty darn neat. Good enough image, you can read everything. The write up on these, I was trying to like zoom in on that kind of stuff because it's usually a little commercially, and sometimes they talk about like their last season, some highlights, some different things, but um, kind of cool Ducky Medwick piece to add. And if you're decorating, the office, the basement, the man cave, whatever it is, the hobby room, um, kind of fun to have some of those bigger pieces to toss on a shelf or put on a wall for display. And that got me thinking. I also have a exhibit of Joe. So, cool Ducky Medwick, different image. I feel like there's not a lot of Ducky Medwick stuff out there. It's just the year range he played in. It's a little bit tougher to find his stuff. That image of his face, I feel like he's like either he just knocked something over or someone made a bad joke. I don't know. He's got a kind of an interesting look on his face there, but cool image. The exhibits are blank back, so nothing too fun there. And that got me thinking about exhibits and, are they tough to find? They're kind of a nice value item. The ones that are tough to find actually are the ones I'm going to show you right now. And these are the 53 Canadian exhibits. So it looks just like everything else. These tend to have tints to them. So if you're looking for something that's a little bit different, the tinting will look like variations even within the same player. So it's not like the Wrigley Field postcards where it's yes or no, blank or postcard back. With these, they could have the same player with different tint finishes, which is also an interesting variation. But you can tell it's Canadian. The easiest way, if you look at a printed in USA version, um, nothing really identifies a year or any indicator on that. This one, they actually do put, let me see where my finger's at, opposite corner right there. There's a little number. So you'll see a number on the front of the Canadian issues. So the Monty Irvin and the other one I'm going to show you, Bobby Dorr, um, they're tough to find. There's not uh, dozens of these available right now, like there would be maybe a regular exhibit issue. Exhibits are really neat and fairly affordable, and they're out there. But you go Canadian, and it becomes a much tougher issue, and it's 1953, so it's narrowed in on one year. It's not a range of 40 something to 60 something. It's very specific as to when those were issued. So um, kind of different and fun. And then my brain just kept on rolling on things that are like postcard back or a little oversized and different kinds of issues. And I got back into these. Um, I was actually just thinking like Mount Rushmore wise, like who has the best looking cards. I think that'd be a fun topic. Warren Spahn might be on the list. He's just got such a phenomenal run of cards and items. So this is a spick and span issue. This one is a postcard back. So that one's kind of a nice traditional mail it off version. And this spick and span version, these are all like mid 50s. So you'll find a lot of these are like 54 to 56. I think that's what the last one was. Some are 53, 57. They kind of narrow in different years. but you're always talking like mid 50s range. This one's got a neat back to it, so kind of cool. Neat images and tougher to find, a little more specific issues, which got me onto this next one. I don't know if I've shown this one, but um, maybe I have. That's definitely match game material right there. So 1959 Jimmy Pearsall, if you're looking for something a little bit different. Jimmy Pearsall's probably biggest claim to fame in the hobby would be his 1954 Bowman because he replaced the Ted Williams card in that set. And the Ted Williams card's a huge card. So that's probably the biggest thing he's done is to be like the complement to Ted Williams in that set. What are they, 66 A and B or something like that? But Neptune Sardines, another postcard back issue. So if you're looking for something just different, um, I feel like this leaves a little bit of like the player collector in me. Jimmy Pearsall's cool, like nothing wrong with his career, significant and solid player, but um, then you start to collect kind of like the neat set, the neat like offshoot. Um, and then I was just looking at things. So far, I've shown you 16 things, and none of them are normal size, normal, whatever that is. For my collection, they're normal size because I like this stuff. This is what I look for. So the last couple I'm going to show you are also kind of interesting size things, but this is a 1951 um, Dodgers team, and mine is very well loved. If you look, what's neat is they actually went to the detail of giving you the entire roster of who's in the picture in the back. So top row, third row. Third row, if you start off, it's the traveling secretary, and at the other end, so closest to this finger, there's Jackie. But realistically, this one's got a lot of big players in it. So as you go through, Carl Erskine, Carl Furlow, Preacher Rowe, Gil Hodges, you see his name. Who else we got on there? Jackie, Roy Campanella. So it's a pretty impressive run. I think Pee Wee Reese is in here. Yeah, I almost missed him. Duke Snyder, Don Newcomb. So really, really neat. If you're looking for something a little bit different, obviously it's not big dollar Jackie. So um, not cheap because there's so many stars on that. Some of the teams might be pretty affordable, but if you're going 51 Hops team issue, uh, that one's a neat one because you get Jackie on it. And the last one to show you was a auction pickup that I finally had delivered, um, and it's another oversized, cool, whatever. But I haven't shown it, and thought this would be just a fun time to show it. So 1931 W517, graded as a 1. That's fine. If you go just strictly looking at the actual card, that's really what we're here for, right? I think that image of the babe is pretty great. Blank backs, so nothing crazy there. But for me, that was one of the neater images. It's one of the more affordable. You can get a couple of those for still less than a Gaudi, I'm sure. So if you're looking for some Babe Ruth options without having to go used car price with a Gaudi, W517, the cash-ins, the Sinella, like there's some really neat issues out there that are still none of it's cheap at this point, but definitely a little more manageable than some of the Gaudis and things like that. So that's all I have for you today. Just wanted to kind of do a little bit of running, inspired by John's Yankee Stadium stuff, and then just kind of went running from there and let you inside my mind and where I start thinking of things being related and associated. So that's it for today. I'll catch up with you guys on the next one. Take care.